Do it yourself, they said. Remodeling a bathroom is not that hard, they said. I'm up here in my attic, and I'm working on my vent stack, and I'll show you all about how I got from the roof down to the septic tank in this video. So here's my vent stack, most of the way through with my trusty hacksaw. Gonna be tying in, got a 22.5, and on the other end of that pipe, it's gonna be taking a sharp 90 down into the wall in the bathroom, and I'll show you a bit about that here in just a second. So that is currently attached to our plumbing downstairs, open for the moment. It will be a straight shot over to the vent over there, using a 22.5 to tie in and bring it on in. This piece of pipe with the light on it, it's actually a brand new piece of pipe. I'm going to save that for inside, just using that for the mock-up. Here's the existing piece, and it came over here. I'm going to be cutting that off nice and flush. I'll pull that pipe through in a bit. I'm going to reuse this section of vent stack as a vent stack. Actually, it's going to shorten everything up just a little bit, be a slightly more straight shot up to the roof and out. And we're using, there's a whole bunch of different fittings you can get for PVC. It's important to recognize where things like right here, that is a vent 90. That is far too sharp of a turn for anything that is regularly getting wet to be going through. But for a little bit of rainwater and for air, it's perfectly fine to take a nice sharp 90-degree bend like that. So don't run water through something like that. Use a nice long sweep 90 on anything that's going to be wet. But vent stacks are critical. This one, down in the wall, you'll see here in just a second, it splits off into two because you need to have independent uprights for your fixtures unless you're in a situation where you can do a wet vent. And if you're doing wet vents, you're probably not watching my video because you know a whole lot more about plumbing than I do. Actually, before we go downstairs, here's going to be the new vent stack. We got 22.5 that'll tie in right here. It'll be cut off. So I'm actually saving about 10 inches of run, which is pretty negligible. Not a huge savings, but that's less space in a pipe that air has to travel or up or down, or water would have to travel down to get back to the sewer. So a little bit cleaner. There is going to be a new fitting down here. Naturally, I can't avoid that, but that'll get me. Now let's go downstairs. Down here in the bathroom, you'll see that, well, that's our ceiling. And just above there is our vent stack. It runs over to here, takes that sharp 90 down to a Y. And that Y splits off into two. So that will allow for any water that comes in through that top to drain. It'll most likely go straight down into that larger pipe. But it could also take a turn and go into the smaller pipe. But really it allows air all the way up and down that column to get in, which is going to help flush out everything in our system. So that left side, that big 3-inch pipe, that's actually going to run over here to somewhere in this vicinity, which is where our tub is actually going to be. And this other pipe, it's going to come in, take a sharp turn, well, not a sharp turn, a long sweep turn, another long turn, and somewhere right in here we'll have our P-trap and our drain. I've mocked everything up. I haven't drilled any holes yet through those studs, but I'm sorry, the joists, but it's going to work out just fine. And I'll show you from the basement what everything looks like and how we got the most appropriate fall. We're down here in the basement, and let's take a look at what we got going on here. So I've got the test caps on, just keeping any of that gas out. And if you look straight on shot down here, let's take a look. It runs nice and straight. You can see those actually converge down the line. But we've got our 3-inch pipe and our 2-inch pipe right here. I'm talking about fall. All the way at the other end of the wall, you'll see that this 3-inch pipe right here, the top of it is actually even with the bottom of the joist. So over that whole run, it rises from the end of the drain to where the water would come in. It actually is going to go downhill the whole way, and it rises this direction towards the camera here. And the reason for that is you want everything to be going downhill, but you want it to go down nice and slow and steady. So the angle I've got is 1/4 inch per foot on that whole thing, and I'll show you just how nice and snug that fits. For a remodel, I couldn't ask for much better spacing for our drains here. Here's the other side of that wall. So now the 2 inches on the left and the 3 inches on the right. And what we have here, let me follow it down the line. We've got those 2 pipes, and they sit just above our central vac line. And that didn't have to move at all. Thank God. I had to move a few other pipes, but that didn't have to move. And you see here that 2-inch pipe, it takes a Jersey left turn before joining into the Y and heading straight on down into this little, we'll call it a chicane, where we've got it going just a bit to the right and swinging back to the left for a straight shot down to the combo Y. And this combo Y was dictated by the stud underneath it. We've got the main water in for the house right here. I didn't want to get too close to that, and a joist on this side. So all this was able to be done without notching a single joist. I put in a couple of braces, took out a couple of braces and put new ones in. But there's our drain line from the roof all the way down to where it ties into the sewer. And you'll see it takes a nice sweeping left-hand turn, straight shot out to the septic tank. Before we wrap up this video, I want to show you just a little trick I used to find my slope. Now there's a lot of ways you can do this, but I want to get my 1/4 inch per foot drop from every drain down to the sewer. And first I calculated stuff out to know if I would actually be able to do it, to see what obstructions were in the way. I had to move a water line, a little bit of electric, but nothing too serious that a couple of nights in the last week couldn't fix. With that whole space opened up, I was able to start running my pipe, and I was able to affix my braces very easily by taking a 2-foot ruler and a little half inch piece of plywood scrap, set that just at the end of the ruler, and I actually taped everything up here so it was easier to use. But you'll see that what I have is my bubble right on in the middle there, and that's with a 1/2 inch over 2 feet or a 1/4 inch over 1 foot. Thanks for following along with our drain recap. And I'm not a professional plumber, so if you are a professional plumber, I probably went over a lot of stuff that you already know. And if I made some mistakes, which it's very likely that I made at least one mistake, but I tried to avoid as much as I could. All this is set up so that I've got the right amount of fall, so that I'm not going to be having any siphons or any other issues that might create bad smells or gurgling or some of the other common plumbing issues that might arise. So it's okay to be a DIYer, but you got to make sure you're detail oriented as well. And what you don't see in this video are those sleepless nights and all the sketches and plans and all the the time that I spent reading the plumbing code to make sure that this is done right. I mean, this is the first time I've done something like this, but hopefully you wouldn't know it if you were just someone looking at my work. There's a lot that goes into it, but if you're dedicated and you're willing to learn, I'm sure that anyone can do it with the right amount of time, a few tools, and some dedication. So give us a thumbs up if you like this sort of stuff. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of it. Drop something in the comments. And until next time, God bless.